Ebullient greetings. I'm your host, Jacquie Bird of Jacquie Bird Spiritual Wellness, your guide to stress and anxiety relief, mindfulness, awareness, self-care, self-love, and personal growth. Welcome and thank you for joining me as we roll with peace in mind. Today's riff is Are You on the Right Train? Riding on the Urge. These episodes feature people who are doing their thing, they follow their heart and their passion, and they create how they want, what they want, when they want, and they are riding on the right train. Today's spotlight is Marion Sprouse. But before I bring my guest on, there's some stuff I want to tell you about happening in February and March. Chill down, chill out, chillax, renew. My end of the month virtual Stress Busters guided meditation class. That's Sunday, February 28th at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come chill out. It's 30 minutes. Hang out, relax, just let go. And on March 14th, I am excited to present my new workshop called Gratitude is the Love Frequency. Gratitude is the Love Frequency. That is a guided meditation and journaling workshop. When we shift our focus to being grateful and appreciative throughout more of our day, it's a game changer. Gratitude resides within the love frequency. You cannot be stressed, anxious, angry, fearful, or doubtful when you exercise and practice gratitude. It is a way to open our hearts to what is working in our lives and shifts the focus away from our seemingly never-ending problems, as well as being an amazing gift to ourselves in self-care and self-development. Like begets like. The more gratitude we allow ourselves to feel, the more good feeling vibes and things we experience and share. So please don't miss this. Get your tickets now. The link is in the show description, so you can click right on that and go right to the workshop and see more details about it. So March 14th, Gratitude is the Love Frequency. February 28th, Chill Down, Chill Out, Chillax, Renew. End of the month, Stress Busters Guided Meditation Virtual Group Class. I hope you join me. You can find out about that on my website. And without further ado, here we go. You're about to meet the magnificent Marion Sprouse.
So, folks, the thing about this gentleman that is getting ready to drop some pearls and all that other stuff that he does is this is one of my mentors. This is one of my mentors, y'all. I'm going to let him introduce himself. And what do you do?
I am Marion Sprouse. I am a musical director. I'm a composer. I'm an author. I do voice coaching for singers. I am an accompanist. I play keyboards. I am the arts ministry coordinator at Marble Collegiate Church. And I'm also the associate director of Marble Vision, which is our live stream media outreach. I'm also on the board of directors of the Gordon Parks Foundation. And Storm Doors and Windows. Yeah, I do everything.
The thing is, as I said, this is one of my mentors. You know, like I think there's something very special about having a mentor in your life. You know, mentors always appear when you need them. They always magically appear in your life when you need them, and you don't necessarily know that they're going to be your mentors.
Exactly. Precisely. I've had a few.
So what's cool is when you and I spoke earlier, because it was really funny that you called, you were talking about the OK era and all the cast members.
Yes.
So when I got my first Broadway show, I had been working with voice teachers throughout the years, but I heard one of my cast members sing and I went, who do you work with? What blew me away about her voice was it was similar to mine in quality.
Yes.
And what I had been struggling with at that period was trying to get the Broadway sound, which I don't have. And I had been trying to get that. And so I hear this woman sing and I'm like, well, she works and she doesn't have that Broadway sound. I want to know who she's working with. And she told me, I'm working with Marion Sprouse. She gave me the phone number, and you worked with most of the cast, right?
I know, that's...
We all just shared you. We were all like...
I'm with at least half the cast of that show.
That's right. We all were like, Marion Sprouse, call him up. Because I think you were working with Franz and Robert when I joined your crew.
Yes, I first started working with Melissa in August of 1990.
Right.
And then as our show, The Dark Star from Harlem, went up at LaMama Theatre, I started working with Franz and Robert.
Okay.
And then there was Greta and Burr, Cheryl Burr, and then there's you, and I met Stanley Mathis in that crew, and a bunch of other people. So it was a wonderful cast. It was a wonderful opportunity to work with so many talented people, and it was a wonderful era because there was there was Black and Blue, there was Ruth Brown and that crew. I mean, everybody seemed to be working. Mm-hmm. And just starting out in that industry. So I was in the thick of it.
You sure were. You were the man. You were the man. You were definitely the man. And I mean, what was really great working with you, I had various teachers for about a decade, you know. I had my first teacher who was operatically trained, and I had been training for about a decade. But what you did for me and a lot of us is that you took the technique and you applied an actor's brain.
Oh, yes.
To the singing craft.
Yes, absolutely. I learned that 1982 or 83, there was a person whose name was Dan Marek, and he was a good guy. I went over to his studio once and I observed him work with particular singers. And in his waiting room in his apartment, and this big, humongous alto voice comes through the door, and I went, wow. And when the door opened, out walked this 4'8" Japanese woman. And I said, what? Are you serious? How did that come out of you? And she pointed to Dan Marek, and I went, well, it's all right. So Dan, what's the deal? And his idea was that your voice is singular to you. It is your expression. When we try to get our voice and put it into an already existing formula, we lose half of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so if you have if you have a Gladys Knight voice, which is not a Broadway voice, but if you have a Gladys Knight voice and that's where you live, and you try to fit into the Broadway baby, that big belt to hit the back of the row, you're gonna lose your voice, and you will no longer have that Gladys Knight voice, and then they'll find somebody else who has a voice, and then you'll be out.
And how true is that? And I had lost my voice along the way. I had, in that quest to get this Broadway sound, yes, I did end up losing my voice. And I mean, by the time you came into my life, I had just repaired it, basically, with the person that and I don't even know if you know this, I had been working with Kamal Scott, who's no longer with us.
Yes, I know. He's good for repairing voices.
Yeah, he had repaired my voice because by that point I had none. So then you enter, and you took me to the next level in terms of, and when I say he took an actor's brain and applied it to a singer's craft, is I had never worked with anybody that said, what are you singing about? You did the who, what, when, where, what, you know? That's
right. Before you even sing a note, tell me what you're singing.
Yes.
What is the story about?
And that was very much an acting approach.
Yes. Oh, sure.
So that just opened up a whole new thing for me. And in a lot of ways, even though there might have been notes that were hard for me to get or figure out how I was going to approach the note, who, what, when, where, why, helped me do that.
Yes. That's the whole idea, is to be able to use lyric as script and be able to advance the story based on what is happening within the song. And to me, if you're going to be on a stage where people come to not only hear music, but to hear a story or to experience a story, then you've got to advance the story. And if you don't know what you're singing about, but you hit the notes, then there will be something lacking in your performance. And so that's the way that I approached it. And it seemed to be very successful.
It was extremely successful. I mean, it just freed. I mean, for me, it was freeing. And I loved how you know, what you said earlier about I'm trying to fit into this box and you lose you.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And that's such a spiritual statement. You know, it's not just applying to, as you very well know, not just applying to voice, but just in general, when you try to fit yourself into a box that you are not meant to fit in.
Best you could be is second best in that, and you're going to come in a distant second because that spot is already occupied. Somebody else has that. You know, it's just not going to work. I remember working with a singer who came to New York, as many people do. They come from out of town into New York, and they're told you have to have certain songs to audition with, and she did. She had a big book of songs. I looked at her material. I didn't hear her sing. I listened to her speak. Went through her material, and yes, this person told me to get this song. This song is good for me. They said this is what they're auditioning with now. And I looked at it and I said, I handed the book back to her and I said, throw this away.
And I know you did.
Throw this away because this has nothing to do with you. What do you want to do?
Wow.
Well, I want to sing on stage. Yeah. What kind of stage? And by the time we finished it, she wanted to be a performer in clubs or dance music, and she wrote songs. I said, throw this book away. You're not going to do it. So she went on to have a career as a composer, as a singer. She got married to a world famous guitarist, and so she's in it. It's just amazing. Had she spent all that energy trying to be the Broadway star, it would have been frustrating, a waste of time and money, and she would have been very discouraged because she would not have made it. That's not the life that she wanted. So basically, it's finding out what you want to do. And it's not even so much what you want to do, but what are you called to do? Because we as artists, we get our inspiration not from us, we're responding to something. And so it comes through us. I mean, but we are affected by what comes through us.
Yeah.
And what I've discovered is that the more we spend time trying to be someone else or another style or another person, the more we alienate ourselves from our true calling.
Okay, so now y'all understand why this man is my mentor. Okay, that just what he just said there. Now you understand. Okay, case in point, why? Because what was beautiful about working with you was because of your philosophy. You helped, like it was just a natural that you would end up being a mentor because of how you approach the art. Yeah. And I would say, vice versa, how you approach life. They're one and the same.
Yes, they are. And you can't separate them. If you are, as you very well know, if you are an artist and you're having problems at home, it's going to affect your art. It's how to embrace it, it's how to understand it, and how to then incorporate it into the art of the moment, the present, whatever you happen to be doing. And that is something that we as artists know how to do automatically. We have a switch that was turned on when we arrived on the planet.
Amen.
It was broken in that position. We can't turn it off.
Nope. This is true.
We cannot turn it off. No matter how hard we try, we cannot turn it off. And so we might as well work with it.
Yeah, right?
We might as well. And it doesn't mean that we have to do art. It does mean that we have to be art. And in that station of being, we create art. I looked on your site, and Valerie Pettiford was one of the people that you had interviewed. Now, I worked with Valerie a million years ago, in the 80s, I think it was. She called me up to do an audition. There were some people who were playing pianos for auditions. I was one, Eddie Rabin, Daryl Waters. There was
Daryl,
working with all these sort of folks.
That's weird that I never got you. I got Daryl Waters though.
I don't know. What can I say?
Wow, but I got you later. So
yes.
Okay, so anyway, she called you to
She got me later. I was working with Gail Samuels and the Ambassador, a bunch of people, just a bunch of folks over the years. And the reason I mentioned Valerie is because Valerie back then was a showgirl.
Yeah.
She's a showgirl. That's a bossy showgirl.
Yep.
That's a showgirl. Now, that doesn't mean she can't do anything else. In fact, because she's a showgirl, she can do a lot of other things.
That's right.
But if she looked at talent and said, well, you know, this is all I can do, and I can't do anything else. I'm good at it, and that's it. I would say that she would be shortchanging herself because her talent is extreme. It's magnificent. It has gone through. Stephanie Pope is another one. This is just people whose talent goes from one end to the other. But if we try to put them in the box, she is a Broadway baby and she plays these roles. Or if you're a Lilius White, you want her singing that last song at the end of Act 1 or the first song of Act 2 so that people can get back in their seats.
Right.
In fact, we used to call that Negro wail. W-A-I-L. We need some Negro wail here. We need to have that big, black, shouting gospel sound that people gonna get excited about to come to the next act, or they say, wow, we have them in the seats. That'll do it. So it's like you're a hired gun.
It really is truly about finding your voice, your own voice, and finding out how you want to express. It always comes back to you. It always comes back to what is it that you want? What is it that's coming through you and that wants to come through you? And how does it want to come through you? As opposed to you chasing this thing you think you're supposed to have. Now you can do that, but the question then becomes, are you going to be happy?
Yeah. And that's the biggest part, because then you will get it and you say, I should be happy, and you're not.
Yes. Oh boy.
You're not. And that's a very tragic thing. Also, claiming your own talents, gifts, and skills means that you have a monopoly on that. There's nobody else who has it. Paying attention to your own gifts, talents, and skills mean that you have a monopoly on that. So therefore, you have no competition.
Huge. That is huge.
Yeah. I've been doing that. I've been saying that 40 years, 50 years. You have no competition. You have a monopoly. So, and the example that I give is there are at least 500 bazillion piano players on the planet.
and another one was just born.
right now.
Right now. Child prodigy was just born at 2 years old. They're going to be playing Beethoven.
That's it. That is it. So with all of those numbers and humongous numbers of piano players, why would somebody call me? I do not have the skill of many, many people. I can play, if we were a scale of 1 to 10, of 10 being the world famous concert pianist and 1 being somebody who could play like chopsticks on the piano. I'm somewhere in 5 or 6, maybe, in that territory. But I'm not hired to play piano. They're not hiring a piano player, they're hiring me.
Yeah.
They want me to play that piano because of what I bring as a person, as an artist, and then as a piano player. I never refer to myself as a pianist because I'm not. I don't work that hard. Pianist would be a practicing 8 hours a day. No, I don't know. I don't do that. But I play piano and I bring myself to it. And that's who they're hiring. They want me to play piano in that situation.
That is a whole different way of looking at stuff. And I think that, I have an episode where I'm talking about perspective. Perspective is everything. Oh, and I quote you too. As a matter of fact, I quote you in a couple of my episodes. Okay. Yeah, because you said something to me one day when I was looking at you all teary-eyed across the Indian restaurant table, and everything's falling apart. And you said something to me. I can only paraphrase it now, but that had to have been about 15 years ago, maybe more, when you said this to me. You looked at me, you adjusted your glasses, and you said, change does not need
Oh,
nor
yes.
require your permission to occur.
That is correct. Change does not require your permission to occur. That is massive.
That
is
has
a
stayed
massive
with
lesson.
me all these years. That has
That is
stayed
a
with me
massive
all these
lesson.
years.
Yes. Yes, it does not require your permission to occur. And the things that we look for as artists spiritually, we're looking to grow, but we want things to stay the same. You can't have both. You can't have both. Spiritually speaking, how many people have you known over these last decades who are saying, I'm growing spiritually, I feel as if I'm growing into something new, I want to grow, but I want everything to stay the same. Well, yeah.
Well, you know what? It's funny when you hear it out loud, when you hear it verbalized, because that is basically us in terms of human nature. We are basically creatures that claim we're growing, but we want everything to stay the same. And what's deep is what's happening right now in this global pandemic is that the universe is demanding that we grow and evolve and change. And we are trying to hold on to whatever we deem normal.
That statement about change not requiring our permission to occur, I read about maybe 25 or 30 years ago or something, maybe 25.
Oh, that's not your original?
No.
Because you said it?
I said it like it was mine.
You said it like it was yours. Well, thank you for passing it on.
Because I claimed it and I said, it's almost like a construct. When we are children, we want to be adults.
Yes.
So we don't want to stay children. We want to be adults. So we'll put on mom's high heel shoes as
and her
kids.
Lipstick.
And the lipstick. We want to be older. Then when we get to be in our teenage years, we want to do what adults do. They drive. They do this and they do it. We strive to be that.
Yes.
As we get a little older, we want to be like kids.
We want mommy. We want mommy. I want my mommy.
we want to be like kids. I mean, one of the cutest words that I have heard from, I guess, current generations is adulting. I said, adulting?
Oh, okay, that's right.
I'm having trouble adulting. Is this, being an adult? I said, well, you were ready or not, here you is.
Here you is. Get with it.
And so the idea, and you're right, the universe has demanded and required of us change. However, it also expects us to change.
Yes.
And the expectation is, if I am going to go through a period of change and I'm expected to make it through, then what am I worried about?
Okay, that's another bomb. That's another wisdom bomb. Wow, then blew up the building. You gotta say that one again too.
Sure, you're in a situation where the universe has demanded change from you, but also expects you to change because you have the equipment to handle it. Why am I worried? The only reason I'm worried is if I think, one, I can't handle it, or two, I won't like what I'm changing into. Okay, so I am the caterpillar who doesn't know what wings are. Okay, but no matter how much I try, here comes the cocoon. I can't run from the cocoon if I'm a caterpillar. So if I spend all my time running from the cocoon, where that is the vehicle through which I'm going to change, it's like, I'm going to have a big problem here. I'm going to have a big old problem. These
are bombs of wisdom being dropped right now, people. Oh my God. Could you imagine a caterpillar going, no, I don't want the wings. No. I don't want the wings.
Okay, so, and then it, no, I don't want the wings. And, and you could go kicking and screaming into the cocoon and come out the other end after this period of darkness, but after this period of change, they become the butterfly. If as a butterfly, they concentrate all their efforts, every single one of their efforts on trying to become a caterpillar again, they will forfeit being a butterfly. You just simply can't do it. And so that is part of how it is that we as human beings can put our collective wisdom together. Khalil
Yes.
Gibran in The Prophet said, pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. So if pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses my understanding, which means you learn through mistakes, then why would I want to be so perfect and not to make a mistake?
Right.
Well, because the world demands perfection. Well, no, actually not.
No, exactly. It's somebody's idea, and a bunch of people agreed, and then it got passed down, this whole thing of perfection. Because what does perfection mean? There's no growth. You can't grow once you're perfect. So what's the point of even being?
Well, except for chocolate. I've had perfect I've had perfect chocolate. It doesn't need to grow for me. Except in my cupboard. It doesn't need to grow at all. It could stay right there. The chocolate is perfect.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But the whole idea is, as artists, we are equipped for change, because that's what we do. We specialize in creating something from nothing. And we really do. We absolutely do. It is not necessary that the world understand how we do it. Mm-hmm. They might say, I don't even know how you can do that. And I say, I don't know either, but here it is.
This period of pandemic, I'm witnessing it. I'm watching, okay, we can't perform in that theater. Well, we're gonna do this. Okay, we can't do it that way. Okay, so Zoom, we could put shows together on Zoom. I mean, it's like, when you have to create, you're gonna create, and you will find a way to create. And that's not exclusive, folks, to being an artist.
No.
Because life is an art. And you also create your well-being. You co-create your well-being. So it's in how you are perceiving and how you're approaching things. And this is the great time, even though a bunch of stuff is happening, this is a great time to figure out who you are and what it is you want and how you want to express. Perfect time.
I agree with you. I agree. Creative switch is always on.
Yes. It's always on.
That doesn't mean you have to always create a play. It's always on. It is. Whatever you do is going to have the creativity attached to it, which is attached to your soul. This is a part of how you express as you. So if you pay attention to that and you realize that you have no competition, that you are a monopoly, then whatever you do is good enough.
You know, Mario, that is a really, really key, huge thing, because we live in a world where everything is about branding, 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 your brand, your brand, your brand, your brand. And you're told, if you are starting a business or you're running a business, you know, always know what the competition is doing. You know, what is your competition doing? What can you do better than your competition? Blah, 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 blah. It's always about the competition. And it's never really about how you are also competition to others, if you want to look at it that way. If you look at yourself as being the monopoly because there's only one you and nobody else can do you, even if there are millions of talented people in the world, there's enough space for all of them. There's enough space for all of you. You used to talk to me a lot about this, just this idea of lack. And right? So you're always thinking, I have to be better than this person. I have to work harder than this person. And that is going to put you in an early grave.
Very early. In fact, that grave starts right the moment you say that, because the moment you try to be like somebody else, you've already killed yourself off.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine? I ran track for every school I ever went to. I wasn't the best at it, but I certainly ran track and learned a lot of lessons from track. And one of them was, if you're running a race, you don't pay attention to your competition.
Right.
If you look at the other runners, you'll run into them. Our bodies go where our eyes go.
Yeah.
If your if you're running a race, even if it's a relay, you got to hand that baton off to the next runner in front of you. Your eyes are ahead. It is of no consequence to see what other people are doing. Your job is to run the race forward. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you want to open up a retail store and then there's Macy's. It doesn't matter. There's somebody out there who has some money who's saying, I don't want to go to Macy's. I want to go someplace local. Mm-hmm. And you're cutting them off and yourself off from the blessings if you don't open your store. Mm. The very same is true. I mean, I deal with it all the time with singers who say, I'm not as good as this person. I'm not as good as that person. And I say, okay, so if I were to take that as your gospel truth that you're not as good, then tell me what you are good for. Silence. Crickets. Because they spend so much time concentrating on what they're not good at, who they're not as good as, that they have failed to consider what then are you good for. So if you don't concentrate on that, all you'll be doing is reacting. A perfect example of that is back in the day, I took a girl out on a date. We went to a wonderful, wonderful restaurant that had an extensive menu across from Lincoln Center. It was an Italian restaurant. It had like 900 different types of pastas. The menu was just extensive. It wasn't just 2 pages, it was more like 30 pages of dishes that they would prepare. So the waiter came up and said, may I help you? May I take your order? And I gave my order and she said, I don't want that. I don't want that. That, don't want that. Flip the page. I don't want that. I don't want that. Can't eat that. Don't want that. Flip the page. And I was watching someone with a waiter and a chef and the entire staff waiting to deliver food for her saying, I don't want that. I don't. And so they were frozen. They couldn't take the order because there was none. She concentrated on what she couldn't have or didn't want. And at the end of the menu, she just said, nah, I have some tea.
Oh my goodness gracious.
At which time I said, well, that's the last time we going out on a date,
know,
baby.
That's right. Good grief.
That's it. If you apply that, if you're saying to yourself, well, you go see a show somewhere, any show, and you say, oh, I can't do that. I can't get on this. I can't do that. All right. So what can you do? What can you do? But also, please acknowledge that there is a societal dichotomy with that, because you will have people say, what is going to be your day job? You're an artist. Yes. Or how are you going to make money? Or how are you going to live? Or how are you going to survive? Well, that's because of the starving artist syndrome, which I do not subscribe to.
I know you don't subscribe to that. No, you don't
I eat too much for that.
Always a good time with him. Part 2 of our conversation drops next Thursday, February 25th. I hope that you enjoyed that and was thoroughly inspired and uplifted by what you heard. If you are in a situation currently that is unfulfilling to you, be it a job or a career you've been pursuing, and you feel like there's something else that you really want to do or you already know what that is, get quiet, sit still, breathe in and out deeply, and begin to envision what that is that you wish to create. And remember, there's nothing too big. It's only small ideas. Think big and write that down. What is it that you wish to create? Write it down, put it in your phone, speak it out loud to people that are supportive of you, and go for it. Go for it. Don't delay. Start now, even if you plot in your mind what your escape plan is going to be. But go for it. This life is meant to be lived to the fullest. Take advantage. No matter what is happening in your life right now, there can always be room to create more. Thank you so much for listening. Please remember to visit JacquieBirdSpiritualWellness.com. Join my mailing list. I've got workshops coming up, as I mentioned earlier in the program. I have audiobooks. guided meditation videos and audio and meditation music, everything for inspiration and to help you relieve stress, increase your mindfulness and awareness and presence. And remember to always roll with peace in mind.